Dear students, I welcome you all to the 21st session of Histology, Animal Behavior and Applied Zoology paper prescribed by the Mangalore University for 4th semester BSc Zoology. In this session, we shall consider the study of types of nests in birds. As we all know that most of the birds build variety of nests in which the eggs are laid. The shape, size and the material used, the position, the time and then the construction sites of nests vary widely among the bird population. Most of the birds uh, though they construct nest, each bird's nest is unique in its shape, size, position, structure and the material used and the time of its construction. So the nest may be a scrape on the sand, a deep burrow, a hole in the tree or rock, maybe an open cup, a globular or retard shaped mass with a side entrance, or elaborately woven hanging structures. The materials with which nests are made also vary widely. Some nests are lined with small stones and others are built of dirt or mud with or without plant materials. Sticks, leaves, algae, rootlets, and other plant fibers are used alone or in combination for the constructions of the nest. Some birds seek out animal materials such as feathers, hairs of the horse, skin of the snake, etc. to construct the nest too. The materials of the nest may be held together by weaving, sieving, or felting the materials themselves, or with mud or spider webs. The birds such as swifts use saliva to glue the nest materials together and to attach the nest to the supporting structure such as rock or the buildings or the tree, whatever. As we all know that each bird is unique in its ability to construct a special kind of nest. So different birds construct different types of nests. And let us see how different is the nests of birds from one another. There are many kinds of nests and we have taken few examples of nests here in this session. A simple cup nest. Though the structure of this simple cup nest vary a lot in terms of what type of vegetation they are made with or what they are lined with or what place they are constructed in. So simple cup nests are simple cup-like structures woven with the soft materials or something fine, threads, fibers of the plant, grasses, etc. Sometimes they are just made with twigs or grasses woven together. Sometimes the mud may be used as a cement, or even sometimes the webs of the spider or algae. Some of the most amazing nests are those of hummingbirds, which can be made entirely out of spider webs and lichens. Just imagine how much work it must take to collect all these materials. So look at the first diagram here. It's a simple cup nest which almost looks like a simple porcelain cup. Second type of nest that we are supposed to study here is the domed nest. So domed nest is a variant form of cup nest, but cup nests do not have any kind of roofings, whereas the dome nests have a roof built over the top of the cup, presumably for the added protection from predators and elements. As the simple cup nests are exposed from above, these dome nests are completely concealed. Only a small hole for the entrance of the bird is left, completely covering the surface of the cup. So this is a nest built by thick-billed weaver. The next type of nest that we are supposed to study here is the pendulous nest. These pendulous nests are nothing but hanging nests that are found in a wide variety of different birds, and mostly in passerine birds such as orioles, weavers, and the common sparrows. These nests usually hang from a tree branch and involve a complex weaving job. So you can see here the nests of a Baya weaver bird hanging, or the nests of a oriole hanging. But the peculiarity here is the nest of a Baya weaver bird is hung with a single uh, chain of fibers here, but in the orioles it almost looks like a cradle. The mud nests are constructed by some birds and mostly by swallows, using completely mud, nothing else, and stick them to the underside of the overhang, such as caves, under bridges, under caves of the houses, etc. You can see here this is a nest constructed by the swallows with the help of mud. Various water birds build nests on floating vegetation or even on algal mass. As you can see here, some water hens constructing the floating nests over the surface of the water in order to ensure that they are in areas that are inaccessible to the predators. So predator has to swim a lot in order to reach these nests. Often these nests are simply involved pulling up the surrounding vegetation into a mound on which the eggs can be laid. So these nests may not be intricately woven nests all the time. Simply some mass of vegetation available floating over the water surface could be accumulated to form the nests. Some birds use tree holes as their nests. These can be made by the birds that uses it, such as species. Such species are called primary cavity nesters. Example, woodpeckers. You can see here the second diagram. It's a small woodpecker which has the ability to dig a hole in the tree bark or in the cortex of the cork of the tree. So they are called primary cavity nesters. That means they dig the nest. Sometimes some birds, such as these hornbills, some bluebirds, some ducks, they use the tree holes excavated by some other birds. So these are called secondary cavity nesters. So primary cavity nesters excavate their own holes. Secondary cavity nesters use the holes prepared by the other birds. Some birds, such as kingfishers, will burrow in the ground. Many seabirds also, or in sandy river banks, such as kingfishers. Often these birds will make their own burrows, but sometimes they will use existing holes, such as old rabbit burrows. Example, puffins. So the seabirds dig a burrow in the ground. The kingfishers may burrow or dig a hole in the sandy riverbanks, or some puffin-like birds can use the holes that are already dug by some other animals such as rabbits and other rats. Many ground nesting birds such as plovers and terns simply make a shallow depression in the ground, and these nests are called scrape nests. These nests are not intricately woven structures, not constructed structures, simply a depression in the ground is made and the eggs are laid, and mostly the eggs have the colors that camouflages the external environment. Sometimes they will line it with a few pebbles or leaves, sometimes they will just lay their eggs right on the ground. So you can see here, these are the eggs of river terns, and they are laid in the simple cup-like depressions here, and the color of the egg is almost matching with the color of the sands here. Some birds such as monk parakeets, as seen in this photograph, make communal nests that have multiple pairs of birds breeding in them. These extreme forms of colony are pretty rare, but this bird, the monk parakeet, is the example which construct these communal nests. So some birds such as these great horned owls may use the nests of other birds. It's called reused birds or reuse of old nests. See, these nests are generally the nests constructed by hawks, and once they leave this nest, when it becomes empty, then it will be occupied by the horned owls or some other such owls. Okay, and they may rear their young ones there. Some owls, such as screech owls, also prefer laying eggs in the excavated tree holes of the woodpeckers. So once we study the different types of nests, we shall look into four important bird species which are very well known for their special ability of constructing nest. The first example that we consider here is the boya weaver bird. Boya weavers are social and gregarious birds. They forage in flocks for seeds, both on plants and on the ground. Flocks may fly in close formations, often performing complicated manners. They are known to glean paddy and other grain in harvested fields and occasionally damage the ripening crops and are therefore sometimes considered as pests. They roost in the reed beds bordering water bodies. They depend on wild grass, which is shown in this picture here, the Guinea grass or Panicum maxicum, as well as crops like paddy for both their food and nesting material. They also feed on insects. Their seasonal movements are governed by the availability of food. So they migrate if the food is not available abundantly. The breeding season of boya weavers is during the monsoons. They nest in colonies up to 20 to 30 close to the source of food, nesting material, and water. The nests are often built hanging over the water. Baya weavers are best known for their elaborately woven nests. These pendulous nests are retard shaped with a central nesting chamber and a long vertical tube that leads to a side entrance to the chamber. The nests are woven with long stripes of paddy leaves, rough grasses, and long strips torn from palm fronds. Each strip can be between 20 to 60 centimeters in length. A male bird is known to make up to 500 trips to complete a nest. The birds use their strong beaks to strip and collect the strands into weave and knot them while building their nest. So these are the few photographs of Baya weaver constructing its nest. Uh, you know, photographs of different stages of uh, nests that is being constructed by these Baya weavers. So next, let us look into the nesting behavior in hornbills. There are many different types of hornbills exist in the world, and in India, particularly in southern India, we have two or three kinds: the grey hornbills and the pied hornbills. During the breeding season, which is generally January to April, great hornbills become very vocal, make loud duets beginning with a loud cock, given about once a second by the male, to which the female joins in. The pair then calls in unison, turning into rapid mixture of roars and barks. They prefer mature forests for nesting. Large, tall, and old trees, particularly emergent, that rise above the canopy, seem to be preferred for nesting. They form monogamous pair bonds and live in small groups of 2 to 40 individuals. Group courtship displays involving up to 20 birds have also been recorded. The female hornbill builds a nest in the hollow of a large tree trunk, sealing the opening with a plaster made up mainly of feces. She remains imprisoned there, relying on the male to bring her food until the chicks are half developed. During this period, the female undergoes a complete molt. The young chicks have no feathers and appear very plump. The mother is fed by her mate through a slit in the seal. So the entire family now depends upon the male who is bringing food and water and whatever the requirement of the bird is. The clutch consists of one or two eggs, which she incubates for 38 to 40 days. The female voice feces through the nest slit as the chicks from the age of 2 weeks. Once the female emerges from the nest, the chicks seal it again. The young birds have no trace of casque. The casque is the structure which is laying above the beak here. You can see here the beak is too large, and above the beak there is a special structure called casque, and this is a young bird of the same species where casque is not present. Simply the bigger beak is present. After second year, the front extremity separates from the clumen, and in the third year it becomes transverse, crescent, with the two edges growing outwards and upwards, while the anterior widens to the width of the rear end. Full development takes 5 years, so the complete development of this casque takes around 5 years. So this is a highly endangered bird species of Western Ghats. So one more amazing bird that has a great ability of constructing a very special kind of nest is the tailor bird. In Kannada it is called Tuvihakki. The nest of the tailor bird is a deep cup lined with soft materials and placed in thick foliage. and the leaves holding the nest have the upper surface outwards, making it difficult to spot. The punctures made on the edge of the leaves are minute and do not cause browning of the leaves, further aiding the camouflage. In some cases, the nest is made from a single large leaf, the margins of which are riveted together. Sometimes the fibers from one rivet are extended into an adjoining puncture and appearing more like sewing. The stitch is made by piercing two leaves and drawing fibers through them. The fibers fluff out on the outside and in effect they are more like rivets. There are many variations in the nest and some may altogether lack the cradle of leaves. This vital information was passed on to them through their genes and their parents. So it's an instinct behavior. You can see here small bird bringing fibers, and they also use spider webs to sew the edges of the leaves, and it cushions with a lot of other spongy fibers and the grass fibers inside, and to the outside it is a simple leaf, okay, highly camouflaged and concealed. So let us move further and look into the study of nesting behaviors in lapwings. The breeding season of these lapwings is mainly March to August. The courtship involves the male puffing its feathers and pointing its beak upwards. The male then shuffles around the female. Several males may display to females and they may be close together. The eggs are laid in ground. You can see here in a scrape nest or depression sometimes fringed with pebbles, goat or hair droppings. You can see here a small depression made, and the eggs are laid which almost have the camouflaging coat color here. About 3 to 4 black blotched buff eggs shaped a bit like a peg top, pyriform, with an average 42 into 30 millimeters of length. Nests are difficult to find since the eggs are cryptically colored and usually matches the ground pattern. In residential areas, they sometimes take to nesting on rooftops. So if the area is residential, then they may lay the eggs over the rooftop also. So you can see here the eggs are special and they are pyriform, like a peg top. ಬುಗುರಿ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. They have been recorded nesting on the stones between the rails of railway track as well. The adult leaving the nest when the trains passed. The nests that have been threatened by agricultural operations have been manually translocated by gradually shifting the eggs. So if there are some threatening signs by agriculture or something like that, they may simply manually transport the egg from one place to another place. When nesting, they will attempt to dive bomb or distract potential predators. Both male and female incubate the eggs and divert predators using distraction displays, flash their wings to deter and any herbivores that threaten the nest. Males appear to relieve females incubating at the nest, particularly towards the hot part of the noon. The eggs hatch in 28 to 30 days. The reproductive success is only about 40%. So most of the eggs are lost due to various activities of herbivores, predators, agriculture activities, etc. And mongoose, crows, and kites. Mongoose is the major threat for the population of these birds. So the egg mortality is high, but chick mortality is lower. So survival rate of the chicks once if they hatch will increase greatly. That's all about the types of nests built by different birds, as well as four important kinds of nests constructed by four important birds, such as boya weaver bird, tailor bird, and wagtails and hornbills. For any further information regarding the nest building behavior of the birds, you can refer these textbooks. Thank you.